it makes it like a bad omen for anybody. But I mean, I don't care. I don't care any longer. Now that we know why, the power has gone. And more, Switzerland is a place that is like this cheese they have. It's full of holes. And that's no joke. That people think it's a laughable joke when we talk about the mountains of Switzerland, the Alps of Switzerland, and how they look like the Emmentaler. I think it's Emmentaler. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Emmentaler. Der Emmentaler. And I mean, that are the mountains. They're full of underground cities, tunnels, the huge mountains, completely prepared with all kind of stuff. I mean, it's incredible. Now it's useless. I mean, the next flooding has not happened and will not happen, because that's the end of the story. I mean, here, if you look at this world now, I mean, what would you think? Do you think that the virus has come to, I don't know, something new? Oh, I see, repeating and repeating and repeating and making it worse. Think for yourself. Now, we would have put a limit to all this reset, and we would have put variations into the program, so not all resets would be the same, and probably there would be one reset that would be completely different. And this is when we maybe start a more active therapy, if we can call that, around the virus. And that's why we have a fake sun now. You see, there are some drawings. There's a guy, a Russian guy, who is trying to explain all the mud flows. Please look it up. Wait, later when this video is published, I will leave a link. He has some very nice ideas, and it's very funny what he says. But what he really gives us is a huge amount of graphical material that I had never seen. And some of this material shows ancient drawings or grabados, engravements, where you can see a dark sun, a very dark sun at the horizon, and kind of another sun, relatively bright, in the skies. Now, this is what we see in these pictures this guy has found and digged out or whatever. And that's the very interesting part of his channel. So I recommend to have a look at all his work, and even taking into account what I won't say about the channel. So pay him a visit. There's a lot of material. It will inspire you. Now, when the reset comes, when the mud flow comes, the old sun is partly disconnected from the plane, which means life is not existent, and there is only very little life left on the plane. So the sun is not able to extract its power it needs to work when it's when it's shortly after this period of time, after the flooding, 3 years, until 3-4 years, until the next people appear or cloned or whatever. Now, the funny thing is that the Masons know that this sun is not enough for them to to find and to work and to prepare for the next step and the next 250 years of total domination. So what they need is light. And what they did is that they constructed a kind of second sun that would automatically appear at a certain time. A time they would have calculated, probably, before. Or maybe they can, I don't know, I'm not sure. They can still manipulate. Now, think about one thing. When the virus came and attacked us first, he was defeated in a very short period of time. But, and this is very important, the capabilities or abilities or power of the virus was very, very strong when he got trapped. In this moment he was still very strong. And it's quite sure that also the virus prepared a kind of automatic process to even simulate itself like an idea in the last moment or something like this. And this is the fake sun. Now, the fake sun is very easy to understand. Let's say, like here in Spain, we have summer now, and it was cold until maybe, let's say, end of July, relatively cold. And the sun burned people as it has never done. And it does so because it's a focused spotlight. It's a small focused spotlight, but it's too intense. It's way too intense. Now the other sun, our original virus sun, is still there, but it is like it has less energy or less power, even less. Somehow this less power comes from a certain superpower of the virus on the plane. I mean, the virus is very happy, or should be very happy, about the floodings, because it gave back the virus all the capability to decide, of decision. When we are too many and they are all infected by the virus, then many will take different decisions. Some could change into whatever, better people. Let's make it easy and wrong, but some could change into better people, other could change into self-propelled individuals that are living with the virus but use this ability to destroy everything for their own means. And so the virus gets weaker and weaker the more he infects. And the fake sun is somehow a work of the first infected that produced it with our abilities of then that were or are incredible. I mean, I'm sure we don't understand them. So the fake sun now is not working correctly because they were awaiting a flooding. This means the fake sun is now much too powerful because the atmosphere is clean, it's relatively clean. It's not full of moisture, there is not all this mud and dust or whatever in the atmosphere. So the light of this projecting spotlight is now much too intense. The fires of Greece are something like that. I mean, the spot ignited in 68 parts of Greece at the same time, or something like that, a fire. I mean, that's typical. That's not our sun. I mean, our sun doesn't work like that. Also, if you stand in the sun, you can have a temperature of 36 degrees, and then you go into the shadow and you have 10 to 12 degrees less. So This is a projector, a spotlight, not an infrared big ball that is sending infrared heat waves into the ground and heating the ground up. The sun goes away, the ground is cold again. So it can become very, very hot when the old sun is like placed or positioned behind, above, directly above the fake sun, and then the rest of the old sun's infrared heating capability, or induction, even induction, powers sums up with the power of the spotlight, which is basically light and burning. So this converts, when they come aligned, well aligned together, this converts this spotlight into a laser beam, a burning thing that burns down everything it encounters on its path. If then the area where it is coming down is dry, I mean, that was happening in Greece, it was terribly dry, then I mean they just burned up in flames. They had no chance. In change, now it's over Spain, and where I live, it looks like that the heat is just condensing a lot of water into the atmosphere, which would hopefully, because we're just in the midst of it now, avoid any big fires like in Greece, and terrible fires in the cities and so on. But this is why they burn, because the two suns align. That's the problem. That was not thought of. The Masons didn't think about that. They were awaiting the flood, and the flood didn't come. And the second sun is the sign of the flood that should have come. So that's why this time there is no flood. There was no flood. I'm sorry. I haven't seen any. I mean, there's smaller things, but that's because of a lot of raining in the last days of the last year and this year. Now, there is no flooding. There's no total catastrophe. It isn't. It's a bad time. It's a bad moment, but it's normal. I mean, all the atmosphere is also changing. Winds are changing. Waterfall per square meter, minute or hour can change now because the conditions are different. So it's normal that some minor flooding will occur, or that areas come underwater, but it's not this mud flooding. This is why I think that this time there won't be any flooding, and that the Freemasons just went crazy when they found out, because they were not prepared for that. I don't know if the virus was prepared for that, but the Freemasons weren't. They were totally unable. The crisis of the last 15 years, more or less, is talking about that. It's 15 years ago when they noticed that something wasn't going so well. But until 3 years ago, they were still working at the Swiss mountains and so on, underground facilities and so on. But this has stopped radically. Isn't it in the United States where you have all this from Walmart buildings, and I mean, it has stopped. That was closed. The moment was closed. Maybe it should have happened last year or 2 years ago, but not more. Not long ago, more or less. And now they're out of their minds. They don't know what to do. They really have no clue what to do now, because they know that something is going terribly wrong. And at this time there is a major change. They were not awaiting. Now they have a good control system, they have big military, they still feel relatively confident, but just have a look at the suicide rate. I don't talk about the suicide rate of normal people that is skyrocketing, but that's due to other reasons. I'm talking about all the suiciding of royal family members, of very important tycoons, industrial or business or economic tycoons. No, way too many. Way too many stars are suiciding. Way too many. Most of these suiciding is covered up with, oh, she took too many drugs, oh, she was very unhappy, but she didn't suicide, she had just an accident. I mean, she fell accidentally off her penthouse in wherever. She had an accident with her Lamborghini. Poor girl, or whatever. They know that things are not going like they should. They know that the flooding hasn't come. I mean, not all of them, but all these high-ranking Masons, sure they do. And their nervosism transcended down, and from there down and down, and until we come to this royal people thing that just can't stand the idea that paradise will not come for them, and that they could be held accountable. And that's a part people today would say, no, I mean, that's ridiculous, holding them accountable. Yes, I'm sure we can. I'm sure we do. I'm sure we will do. I'm sure that we are just collecting the evidence. We're not going out to find out if Earth is flat or round, round, flat, squared, cubic, concave, help me, more, whatever you want. A globe, I don't give a shit. The thing is that once we know where the biggest lies are, we can prove who lived from or of these lies, and that's it. I mean, then we have a case. And I'm sure, well, if we can really prove the next steps, and I don't think it's too difficult. I mean, if I have found some little things that can illustrate what I'm saying, you outside there, you will find thousands of things, because you all have had your doubts. You all have had your childhood where you're suddenly awake and you don't know from what you awake, and you don't know into what you awake, but you all have lived that.